If you could pick one UFC fighter to protect you in a street fight, who would it be? Many of you probably pick someone big like Francis Ngannou, or maybe it's even someone like Khabib for his wrestling, or maybe it's even a striker like Max Holloway. But instead of just picking one person, today I'm going to be creating a UFC fighter that could protect me in a street fight. To do this, we're going to be combining the best traits for multiple UFC fighters to create one ultimate street fighter. The traits going in to build this guy are trash talk, fight IQ, chin durability, power, and striking. And by the end of this video, I'll have made a UFC fighter so perfect for the streets that it'll have you rethinking your pick for help. So the first attribute we need in our fighter is trash talk. Now, this is very important because without trash talk, are you really even a fighter? This is before the fight starts to hopefully stop the fight before it's even happened. So we need someone that has really good trash talk, but just not someone who just lays generic lines like everyone else. We need someone who has clever roast to really throw everyone off to what they're used to. So I think the absolute best guy for this is Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen 100% in my opinion goes down as the best trash talker in the UFC. Obviously there's a few other names in there like Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz. Both these guys have really funny roast, but I just think Chael Sonnen's would just be really funny in a street setting. Can you imagine 3 guys running up on Chael and he does one of his 30-second monologues right before getting into an insane brawl?
You want to know how you could get as much tantalizing conversation from something as Wanderlei Silva? Just talk to my shoe.
And I just think that some of his lines would be so different than what everyone else is used to. Like, you might be expecting some of the things like Conor would be saying and Nate Diaz would be saying about how they suck and how they're going to get beat up, but Chael would just be talking about himself and how he's the best to ever do it, and he would be rhyming and it would just be really confusing for everyone. So I'm putting Chael Sonnen as the trash talker. The next attribute we need in our fighter is someone who's smart and can adapt to whatever is happening. So we need a fighter who has a high fight IQ. Especially in a street fight, you're going to need someone that can be really meticulous with their moves and make sure everything's calculated so they don't get squashed or stabbed. So I'm picking Jon Jones for fight IQ. Jon Jones has been known to have a really high fight IQ by the way he picks apart his opponents. Jon is extremely calculated with his moves. He isn't just the type of guy to rush in at any moment. The fight against Daniel Cormier, when he landed the head kick, it was 100% planned. By the way, he dips his head down when he goes for the single leg. Then, after stumbling, instead of rushing in just to finish him, he throws a leg kick to spin him around to get a better shot to finish him. Now, this is just one example of the high fight IQ that Jon Jones has in the octagon. There's many times where he had to adjust the mid-fight to figure out the right timing to when to throw the elbows, take someone down, or land some slick submission. But overall, I just think Jon is super smart and he's really methodical with every move he makes, which would apply perfect to a street setting. Because in a street setting, there's no rules and you're going to have to be on your game for every single second to make sure nothing crazy goes on. Using Jon's attention and fight IQ, it'll allow him to adapt super quickly to be able to handle whatever comes his way. So I think Jon Jones is absolutely the best pick when it comes to fight IQ in terms of a street fighter. In a street fight, 99% of the shots being thrown are going to be at your head. So we need someone who can take all that impact without getting knocked out. So for chin durability, I'm taking Max Holloway. And I know he just got flatlined in his last fight against Ilya, but realistically, here's my thinking. Ilya is one of the most powerful fighters in the 145 division that we've ever seen. So in a normal street fight, the average Joe is not going to have the same amount of power as Ilya, and Max is not going to get knocked out. And Ilya is really the only person to really test Max Holloway's chin. He's been known throughout his 12-year UFC career to never been knocked out or knocked down at all. And it's not like he's just getting decision wins with no action. Max Holloway is fighting guys like Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, and Jose Aldo, fighting in all-round wars. And after 29 fights, he had taken 2,000 significant shots, which is the most ever in the UFC, and it's pretty crazy without even getting knocked down at all. Now, this is 700 more shots than the second place guy, Pedro Munoz. So I think Max Holloway is 100% qualified to have a good enough chin to stand in any street fight. When it comes to power, we all know who the best pick for this is. 2 words. Ben Askren. I'm definitely kidding. I feel like there's really only one person for this, and it's Francis Ngannou. Not too much to say about this one really, it's just a big heavyweight that can hit really hard. Another good option for this is Alex Pereira. He has rose up to be one of the hardest hitting ever, and there's even a clip of him beating Francis Ngannou's punching record, But I actually don't believe this is 100% accurate, because when Tom Aspinall did it, he only got around 40,000. But when Alex Pereira does it, he gets 170,000. I don't know. I just feel like that's not 100% accurate, because I trust Francis a lot more, because he is just a lot bigger and he's just naturally going to carry more power. And if there's a fighter that can hold the power of a Ford Escort driving at its top speed, I'm taking him every single day. So I'm taking Francis Ngannou's power to add to our fighter. The next attribute our fighter needs might be the most important, which is striking. Every fight starts on the feet, and in a lot of street fights, they stay there until someone gets slumped cold onto the concrete. There's a lot of names that could probably work really good for striking, like Dustin Poirier, Petr Yan, Dan Hooker, would all be good picks. But for my pick, I'm actually going to go with Nate Diaz. His style is literally crafted from street fighting as a kid. The combos he throws are long and loose. Nate also just has an air of confidence in his skill that would apply really well to a street setting. He taunts his opponents, he slaps people, and he talks a lot when he fights with his arms up, inviting you to come in, where he actually can utilize surprisingly good counters. But his main benefit is his relentless pressure. Nate just throws and keeps throwing and continues to throw until one of you gasses out, and knowing Nate Diaz, it's not going to be him. I also think Nate's striking would be more beneficial skill set for us to have on our fighter, because it's just very different style than a lot of other guys. Like Poirier and Yan and Hooker, they already have fundamentally solid striking and all carry decent power and explosiveness on their own. So I don't think that they would benefit by having Francis Ngannou power as much as Nate Diaz would. It makes sense for Poirier to hit hard, but Nate Diaz punching someone as hard as a sledgehammer being swung full force overhead would catch anybody completely off guard. And just imagine Nate Diaz in a fight slapping somebody with Francis Ngannou power, knocking people out left and right with a slap. This would be absolutely crazy. So for striking, I'm picking Nate Diaz. Now we finally have our fighter built. He has the trash talk of Chael Sonnen, the fight IQ of John Jones, the chin durability of Max Holloway, the power of Francis Ngannou, and the striking of Nate Diaz. All these attributes come from some of the best fighters in the UFC has ever seen. And crazy that this guy would just literally mop anyone that would ever come his way in the streets or even in the octagon. So if you see this guy walking around, I would not try him. But guys, we are halfway to 1,000 subscribers, so thank you so much for all the support. The last video did absolutely crazy views, 70,000 views at the time I'm filming this, and I'm just really thankful for each and every one of you. So please subscribe and get us to 1,000 subscribers. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.